Long before Jason Garrett was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, he was a freshman student athlete at Princeton University. That is exactly where he met someone who would change his game plan, his wife, Brill.
So we met as freshmen, and we were had a geology course together. And so that met 3 times a week, the lecture did, and then we would have a lab once a week. And the lab was on Thursdays from 1 until 4. And so I, of course, noticed him early on, and I realized that he left the first lab early. And then the next week he left the lab early. And then the next week he left the lab early. So I thought, what is going on? So I gathered my courage and I asked him, why are you always leaving lab early? And he looked at me like, well, don't you know I have baseball practice? And I thought, no, I didn't know you had baseball practice, but I find it kind of curious that you would have signed up for this lab if you knew it went till 4 o'clock and you had baseball practice. I really enjoy class, so I would never have taken any course that would conflict with another commitment. But I wasn't quite sure if he might have an inside connection with our lab instructor. Our lab instructor, his name was Jeff Waterhouse. And if you can picture the quintessential lab instructor for geology, this was Jeff Waterhouse. And his main feature was a long red beard. So I didn't know if he and Jason, through the red hair connection, there might have been some commitment that they had that it was all right for Jason to leave early.
This inner workings
yes,
of
something
the hair
about
color.
The red hair, yes.
Jason Garrett was the Cowboys' third-string quarterback until the now famous 1994 Thanksgiving game, when he was called up and outdueled the Favre-led Packers for a Dallas win. During the post-game press conference, Garrett revealed some of his best advice was from Brill.
He said, when you get in trouble, Alvin's big, just throw it up to throw it up to Alvin. He's really good at going to catch the high ball. So, believe it or not, if you watch the game, we did throw it high to Alvin a number of times, and he came through and made a lot of plays for us. The funny part of the story is she was resisting giving me advice. And finally at dinner, on Wednesday before I was going over to the hotel, she's like, I'm not going to be able to live with myself if I don't say this, And sure enough, it worked out pretty well for us.
So we had played on Sunday, and Troy Aikman was injured, and then our second string quarterback, Rodney Peete, was injured too. And so I remember, I think the doctor called and said, Rodney Peete's going to be out, and then the coach called and said, you're going to be playing on Thursday. So it was such a quick turnaround, as we all know. It is always a quick turnaround from Sunday to Thursday. And I think that probably worked out for the best because there wasn't much time to think about it. And so I was reviewing in my mind, what can I do to be helpful for Jason? And always most important to me is to be supportive. But I was thinking about that game, and I remembered Rodney throwing this pass up high into the end zone, and Alvin Harper, he just jumped up and got it, and he was not going to be denied that ball. And so in my mind and in my heart, I just thought, I'm going to have to say something to Jason about this, because if he gets in a spot where he's not sure what to do, I think he could just throw it up high to Alvin. And I know Alvin's going to come down with it. And I thought, no, don't say anything. He doesn't need your input. And then I just couldn't help myself, just in case it was going to make a difference.
You have really seen both sides as a player's wife and then as a coach's wife. What are some of the differences that stick out to you and the positives of that?
I hope that I'm able to bring that experience of being a player's wife to our team today, so that we have that bridge and we have that connection and that bond among all of our wives, that we really are all on the same team. And so we have such a great group of wives right now, and I'm hopeful that that message always carries through when we're winning and when we face some adversity.